So yeah, Tinder for robots. Late afternoon, things start to get interesting. Um, I see a bunch of people with gray hair, like me. So I will start with the obvious question: how many of you know what Tinder is? I've got lots of hands raising. How many of you use regularly Tinder? Nobody. Huh? Don't be shy. They're not recording the session. Oh, no, actually, they are. Oops. So okay, it's fine. Then nobody. Um, okay, so I'm here actually not to talk about Tinder, but a very similar approach, which is what I do every day. Just about the fact that I try not to meet people, but try to make process meet technology or automation. I do that at Merck. For the ones who don't know the company, it's a German-based company. It's the oldest pharmaceutical company. It was founded in the 1668, actually. We celebrate this year the 350th anniversary. It's amazing that it's a company that's been living there for almost 4 centuries and is still owned by the Merck family. So I mean, its core business is of course pharma, but also performance materials. So if you have a mobile phone, there is a high chance that liquid crystal of your screen are done by Merck, and life science, so all laboratory equipment. I invite you to go to our website to see and find out how a company can stay in the innovation and science and technology market so long, with being owned by the same family. What I do there is actually I'm part of the GBS, or Global Business Service Finance Organization. For the ones of you that don't know what the GBS organization is mainly a large enterprise. They collect and group all the transactional processes for the supporting functions like procurement, HR, finance, and they consolidate it in a central team, trying to optimize and make process more efficient, more reliable, and of course cheaper. Now, if you work in this business like I do, you would have noticed how what is happening in the market with automation is very similar to what happened so far in the manufacturing industry. We started from people taking care of creating a product from the beginning to the end, and then identifying all the process steps that are required to actually create the product, and then assign people to each single step of the process. And that's exactly what happened now in the back office or service industry, where you actually started with people just taking care of the whole process and then split that process in several single repetitive tasks and ask people to just perform one of those tasks. For the non-millennials, that's a writing machine. It was used to write, or actually for the millennials, sorry, no millennial, to write and print on paper. Amazing technology. And yeah, so if we look at how the industry developed and the fact that people, also in the back office, the people providing services internally or externally to a large enterprise, are actually every day taking care of one single repetitive process. Mainly, you notice how we are asking people more and more, or at least we did in the last years, to mainly behave like robots. Until the point when somebody thought, okay, maybe we just use robots to do it, right? And that's exactly what is happening. And it's a disruptional event, what's happening in the industry, where the concept of robotics process automation or smart process automation, as we define it in Merck, we also include, let's say, more advanced bots or robotics, including so artificial intelligence, is that we are constantly trying to use software, so not real robots, of course, because we are talking about back office, robots to mimic or try to replicate exactly what people do on their screen every day. So try to use the same application clicks on the same reports, opening the same windows that people do. And there is mainly nothing, if you look at the normal end-to-end portfolio processes of a GBS organization, that cannot be done by a robot to a certain extent. A robot can open application, can interact with APIs, can can move files, can open up tickets or close tickets in a company enterprise portal, everything. So there are several benefits, of course, that happen when you try to do something like that. And in a service organization, there are, let's say, I would say 4 main dimensions or 4 main targets that you try to reach. First one is user experience. You want to focus on your customer. Then it's quality. We want to provide service at quality. People now in this generation are really used to receive quality service. Then it's the scalability. I mean, in large enterprise, this is a huge problem. How do I manage peaks in the delivery of my service? Okay, so if I use people, that's a huge effort in hiring, training, applying people, and it doesn't move fast. If I have a dynamic market where the demand for my service change frequently, dynamically, people cannot simply keep the pace. And then, of course, cost. You want to run your services at efficiency. Plus, if you are in the finance world like I do, you will add compliance as one of the main drivers. Now, if we look at this target, robotics process automation, AI, are actually supporting company in moving to, I would say, hypersonic speed towards reaching those targets. Mainly, if we look at the large enterprise company today providing shared services, there is no reason, unless your company has been in a cave for like the last 4 or 5 years, that you should not work with this model, a model that we call the digital workforce. So where mainly there is a clear split at the moment between humans and robots, where humans are actually dedicated to mainly comply with 2 tasks: transform an unstructured input into a structured input. That would be receiving a phone call or receiving an image, try to put initial data into a system, or taking a business decision, what to do based on the conditions of the moment. Anything else, as I would say, there's no reason why a robot today, or a bot, or a software, whatever you want to call it, should not take it. And mainly the only point of contact that is still happening between the 2 dimensions of the digital workforce is it's processing the exceptions. And today, what we are seeing is, while this is, I mean, what you see here, it's a normal way of working, as I said, for a large enterprise today. What we see is that AI is just actually simply reaching the last mile of automation, where also the 2 yellow boxes that you see there, they are still what mainly humans do in a shared service organization or GBS organization are doing. So that's the next step. Everything else, it's already there. It's a commodity. I mean, you will probably, I don't know if you work in a large enterprise, but if you submit your travel expenses, or you are dealing with providers, or you want to book an invoice, this is exactly the model that normal large enterprise companies work today. There is some certain kind of input, then there is a bot or a software that is pre-digesting or pre-working the information. It's completing the process if there is no major deviation from the standard process. Otherwise, it's rerouting the process to a human. That's what happened. But now I come to the core, actually, of the presentation. But then, if robotics, AI, or whatever technology we have, it's becoming more reliable, cheaper, faster, then why we don't see that happening at the same pace in our processes? Is it, let's say, everything about technology, or is there something else? And of course, there is something else. Otherwise, my presentation will end here. Back to Tinder, I would say, if we want robot to meet process, that will not work. That will be not an immediate match unless we have him met the other 2 people. So it's about robot meeting 3 people at the same time. So, okay, this metaphor of Tinder is going too far, maybe. Okay, but don't get excited. It's still processing, automation, so boring stuff. So there are 2 other persons that needs to be in that meeting, which is data and the organization. So the triangle between how you manage your data, how you integrate technology in your processes and how you make your organization deal with these changes and what enables the scaling of the technology into the large enterprise processes. And of course, at the Data Innovation Summit, I will focus now on processes and organization. So I always like to refer to this sentence. I'm not sure if actually Bill Gates said it, but if you look on Google, that's what Google says. So I will stick with that. The first rule is very simple. It doesn't change if it's robotics, if it's AI, if it's blockchain. It doesn't matter. And if your processes are broken processes, automating them with any technology will just make them automated broken processes. I mean, that's clear. So anything you want to do in terms of automation has to be applied to an optimized process, because then you optimize the value of the automation. Now, if we translate that, that means adopting a very structured way of selecting the right processes or the right use cases to apply automation on. I mean, I will never emphasize enough how important it is to identify use cases and to really make sure that technology is applied to the right ones. This model, this methodology of process or use case assessment that we use at Merck, I think it goes in that direction. There is no immediate way of automating the process without first asking the very simple question of, do we really need this process? Most of the time, there are legacy processes or people used to do something in a large enterprise, but if you ask them why you're doing this, they say, well, I don't know, I was told to do it, or just because that's the way we do it, right? Then, if the process is still required, you have to try to optimize it and to standardize also it as much as possible. But then only after is where you have to start asking yourself, can I automate it? And when I say automated, I mean we have a large number of applications already in a large enterprise, and are we using it at the right extent? Well, most of the time the answer is no, we are not. So we spend a lot of money in investing in a large system, but most of the time they're not using the right way. But if they are, then that's where we apply smart automation. So either being RPA or AI, it's where you get the most of the value, and then you really improve the processes. Now, when it comes to RPA only, I mean, this will be different. Of course, we discuss AI, but there are some sweet spots in the identification of the use case. Let's say when I say that you have to select the right use cases, it means that you have really to focus on the quality of your process. It means that you have to have your end-to-end process from a customer-focused perspective in mind before even you start engaging with automation. But on the other end, we know that life is not perfect, so there are many situations in which we actually can think of even going the right way to smart automation without, going through the whole optimization step. Because we don't have time, because we don't have money, because maybe I don't have really the resources to engage in large training for people. So if I wanted to apply a new extension of ERP or any kind of advanced technology, I will need to invest a lot in training people. Sometimes it's something that is not available. Today, when we apply robotics process automation or AI, and we try really to replicate what people are currently doing in their application, then things get much simpler. Because we don't have to deal with data integrity, we don't have to deal with large testing, we don't have to deal with user profiling, because we are just asking a machine to do what the person is doing. And the application don't have to be tested again or changed in any way. And that's what makes things move very fast, and I would say with an ROI quite significant, that can be measured in weeks and not months. If you want one of the best tip I can give you based on my experiences is to try to really integrate people, process, and technologies in one solid, reliable operating model. That means that you have to integrate into your landscape of activity that you do in your company a methodology to drive any idea from the initial state where somebody's just have a brilliant idea to the stage where you automate that. We call it in Merck idea to robot. And it's actually a real operating model. It's a backbone for any kind of innovation, I would say, that we want to put and integrate into the processes. And it's highly recognized in the company, everybody's aware of it, and you really, use that as any other end-to-end process that you may know, like account to report and void to cash. Another important point is also to also understand where you want to go when you start automation. And that's sometimes not an easy question to answer in large enterprise environment. Today, the technology gives you several possibilities. You can use that to simply reduce the workload of people. We have maybe people that's doing a lot of overtime, or we want to manage some peaks or some lack of capacity, and we just use automation to do that, right? Supporting our people. Or you can maybe decide that you want to add services. Again, I work in a service industry, so one of the main target is also to increase the portfolio service that you want to do, right? And if you have technology that all of a sudden in a short amount of time and in a, let's say, even cheap way can free capacity out of people, that gives you also the possibility to increase the portfolio services that you provide, maybe with services with more added value, services that are more customer focused. Or you want to go full scale and say, okay, I actually apply this technology to realize full synergies. And again, in a highly transactional, highly manual business like GBS environment, that means actually reducing or highly reducing the workforce and realizing, of course, great efficiency for the company. But there is an element that must never be forgotten. Even if we discuss about, or you see a lot of hype in the newspapers about the end of the workforce, humans that will not do anything, that's not close to the truth, not even. You have to engage your workforce, you have to engage your people in your organization and adapt them for the change. Otherwise, most of your initiative, how brilliant the technology will be, they will fail. They will fail when you will try to scale within the organization. So the recommendation I will give you here is really define a clear change in communication roadmap. And also define how you want to transform your workforce. This seems to be like an easy training activity, right? But it's not like that. It's not only that. Yes, for sure you have to adapt your workforce. The work as we know it today is not going to happen. It's not going to be done in the same way in 3 years from now, right? But what is also happening, and this is something that we see every day happening, is also that what you will find out there, if you still want to perform your process the old way, it's not what you want. If we look at finance environment where I come from, or accounting, there are no people that wants to do accounting anymore. Before, it used to be a job that everybody considers secure or reliable to build a life on. It's disappearing. I don't know any young people that say I want to be an accountant. So if your process still requires accountants, old style accountants, then in 3 years from now, you're not gonna find anybody. That's it. It's gone, over. So change workforce. It's really starting a journey. And in general, I would say the journey to enhance a kind of a capability in a large enterprise which moves at a totally different pace compared to startups or any other smaller company is evolutionary. It doesn't happen from one day to the other, but needs to be accelerated as much as possible. So here I just collected a few tips, and again, these are real life tips. So what we try to do in our daily job. So first, of course, try to create a culture of innovation. That's obvious. Again, if you want to engage your people, you have to motivate them, and you have to give them also a kind of career path where they are also engaged all the way along. Develop the right skill set. I mean, it is pretty clear. Without the right skill set today and the really people that are able to manage the emerging technology, you are not going anywhere. Adopt a use case approach, as I said, big emphasis on this one. Identify the right use cases, try to assess them in a quickly and reliable way, and then go for it. Try to redesign your processes as much as you can, because that will maximize your value. Be clear on where you want to go with automation, and try also to integrate your innovation pilots, your innovation programs with ongoing activities. So if you're in the service environment, probably you will to engage, or you did in the past engage with Lean and Six Sigma initiative. So how to optimize and create a lean process delivery. Try to integrate automation in those ongoing activities, again, to have to really increase quality and performance of your processes. And try to create a really an holistic end-to-end view on that. Thumbs up, just for the legal notice, and yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Pierluigi.